Heyo everybody, Haku here with my read-through for the 6th episode in Magical Girl Raising Project, or Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku, episodes 5. So yeah, super excited to continue reading. As I've said before, kind of almost every one of these, I think. I'm both excited to get back to the main story and absolutely loving every single one of these episodes. Whether they be super funny or really feelsy or even both, they've all just been really, really good. I love these episodes, chapters. I liked it the first time. I love it this time. It's so great again. But we're at Primula Farinosa is I think the title for this one. And yeah, being the 6th out of 11, we've passed the halfway point by the time this is posted. For you, because I haven't been great at getting these posted on time, it probably feels like it's been forever. But for me, it feels like it really hasn't been that long since I finished Aces. It feels like I finished Aces not that long ago, and we're already over halfway done with this. But yeah, before I get into the chapter itself, I saw that this one is about Marika and Snow White, but there was a separate file for the illustration, and it's a 2-page color spread here that I'm looking at right now before I close it and get into reading the actual thing. And it looks like we're seeing human Snow White and human Marika, and I think Mariko was Marika's human name, which is really, really cool. I'm excited. I'm even more excited if we get to see Mariko and Koyuki interacting than if it was Snow White and Marika, to tell the truth. I want to see their human selves interact. So yeah, that's really cool. Looking at it real quick, but I'm going to move on to the actual chapter. Also, I'm still counting this as this week's, even though it's like days late, not going up until the weekend. Even though it's late, I'm still counting this as this week, so I'm still going to be trying to do another one on like maybe Wednesday from the time that you're watching this, if you're watching it like as soon as it goes live or whatever. It might be a day early, might be a day late, but still, I'm going to be trying my best to get one up just a couple days after this one goes up. I wanted to do like 2 chapters in a week just because I've been really wanting to read more Magical Girl Raising Project, but I just haven't found time to do a double chapter week or anything. But either way, let's read Primula Farinosa. This one's got Snow White and Marika on the frontier. This story takes place a few weeks after Magical Girl Raising Project Jokers. Okay, so we saw, of course, Marika's point of view in the epilogue to Jokers. So it's going to be cool seeing what happened, presumably after that epilogue, I would guess. But we're starting off with Mariko Fukuroi as the focus here. Mariko Fukuroi is a magical girl. When she transforms, she becomes the battle-hungry magical girl known as Marika Fukuroi. Marika is the type of person who lives how she wants. Marika is the type of person who does what she wants. Everyone that met Marika would always say, this girl looks like she doesn't care what other people think or say. She'll just do whatever she pleases. They'd be right. Even when she was Mariko, she often did things the way she wanted, but never to the extent of Marika. Marika would beat up anyone she hates. Marika would beat up anyone she likes, but friendlier. Everything is battle to Mariko Fukuroi. That's just what makes life fun. That's just what makes life worth living. Mariko remembered when she was still a kindergartner. That's when she first became a magical girl. The surge of power made her happy. Such power, such strength. She didn't have to listen to anyone else anymore. So, she didn't listen to her test examiner. She just did whatever she wanted, testing her powers on everything and anything. Other magical girls couldn't do anything about her since Mariko was ridiculously strong, and her powers were versatile. That all changed when her examiner stepped in. Marika thought she was number 1, so she defiantly disregarded her examiner. She proclaimed that the only way to make her follow her examiner was to beat her up in battle. Alright? But she didn't expect her examiner to give a proper beatdown to Marika. She was extremely strong, but Marika never gave up. Her examiner was going easy on young Marika, but as Marika continued to become an actual threat, the examiner played seriously and instantly knocked her out. When she came to, she thought she had lost the right to be a magical girl, but her examiner approached her smiling, saying that she's proud of Marika. She said that Marika had an unbreakable will, and that she wanted to introduce Marika to her own mentor. It turns out that examiner was a graduate of Mahou School, led by the most powerful magical girl of this generation. And Marika was taken in to be trained to focus her mind in battle. That was the origin of Mariko Fukuroi. Mariko Fukuroi adjusted her glasses. She spent hours on the labs, working on researching flowers. She'd already visited Styler Mimi's grave many times. Every time she did so, she still didn't feel comfortable at all. Mimi's gone. Styler Mimi isn't coming back. Now there was no one she could just ask to come along with her. There was no one she could just talk to. Styler Mimi was that person for Mariko, but now she realized how alone she really was. To occupy her, she began devoting more time to her research. She's always researching plants, flowers, and other vegetation in the labs. She had access to a laboratory maintained as a cover by the Land of Magic, so long as she doesn't blow herself up. That lab also has some magical equipment that she can use to test the flowers. Marika's powers involved growing plants on her head, so Marika always had to know how the plant actually works in real life before she can harvest their seeds. Normal growth rate, water intake, seasonal plants. Weight and rarity were measured too, as well as the characteristics of each plant, in order to guess what kind of magical effect they might have. Then she'd try and speed up the growth artificially, and even with magic. Mariko would then use this information as Mariko Fukuroi, training with her own plant-based powers harvested by her seeds. Mariko would research until late at night, when the labs were forced to close. Then she'd take her white lab coat and go back home with her car. On the way home, she received a text message. It was an automated text from the school she worked in. An opening ceremony for the school next year. All teachers must attend. This is interesting if she's going to be a teacher at Snow White's school. That'd be really cool. Because even in the original, like Unmarked and stuff, we didn't see too much of Snow White's real life. But especially now, we haven't seen too much after Unmarked of what her life outside of a magical girl has been like, which is something that I'm really interested in personally. That's something that I think was one of the best things about Restart, which is, to me, as much as I love every other arc, Restart is still the best by far. And one of the reasons I loved Restart so much is they had a really good focus on the characters as magical girls, and then on the characters as people, who they were, why they did what they did, and who they were it's all real life technically, but who they were as humans outside of being magical girls. I think that's something that made Restart very special and very good, so I would be really interested in more of that for future arcs and stuff. Hold on. From the school she worked in, all teachers must attend. As Mariko grew up, she realized that she technically didn't have a job. Not that she needed a job, considering she's a magical girl who lives on battle. Still, her parents would shun her because she seemed to not be productive at all. So, out of the need to at least mean something to her family, she found herself a job as a teacher at a local high school. At almost 30 years old, it's not that bad for her to get a job like that. But it didn't change the fact that Mariko was still the black sheep of her family, always obsessed with what seemed to be her hobby of plants and not making anything productive out of it. It's not like she could tell her family that she's a magical girl either. Mariko always had to sit in family gatherings, eating silently while the rest of them talked about how their days went. Then the questions came, usually asked to her mother. So, how's Mariko? Does she have a boyfriend? How was her job? What does she do? Does she provide for herself? Who are her friends? All of those her mother would usually deflect away. Mariko did live alone for the most part, but it's clear that her family was disappointed in her. Her mother would talk about her childhood when she and Mariko went fishing together, for example, or achievements that Mariko made a long time ago. If she even explained about her plant hobby, her parents would be worried that Mariko was taking it like an obsession. It's not her fault that this is how her life is like. If her parents and family members won't accept it, then fine, have it that way. Still, Mariko didn't want to embarrass her family, so she really did look for an actual day job. She can hear her mother crying at night, and Mariko would feel bad that she must have disappointed her. At the very least, she wants to make them proud. A teacher was a good, respectable position. Mariko knew a bit about the subject she taught as well, and it was high school, too. The next day, Mariko attended the school meeting. So, without further ado, let's welcome Miss Fukuroi to the staff. She'll be filling in for Miss Tarakoro while she's on maternity leave, said the principal. The staff clapped and clapped. Mariko was almost bored to sleep from this entire opening ceremony. It's the start of the school year, too, so that didn't help. When she finished, she rushed through several students and teachers who were curious about her behavior. Who was she? How old is she? Why isn't she in proper uniform? Did she fall asleep during the opening ceremony? Does she shower? Mariko just dodged those questions by keeping her head down and not making any eye contact with them. There were no lessons today. It was mostly orientation and a relaxing day at school. Mariko wanted to see the students. She was curious on what they were doing. She wanted to see their faces, wanted to know what they were thinking. She wanted to check out the science lab. She wanted to see the sports team. She wanted to see her fellow teachers. She also wanted a breath of fresh air. She went to the janitor's office, and then she took out a master key. Don't mind if she bars this for a while. She unlocked the rooftop access. No one usually comes here, so it's pretty quiet. From here, she can see the entire schoolyard. The baseball club was practicing their defense. The soccer club was running around the track field. The lacrosse club were playing an exhibition match. Mariko remembered her old days as a student. She was carefree and free-spirited, too, just like these kids. Then it started raining. On the rooftop, that'd mean she'd be soaking wet. She had to go back inside. She cursed under her breath. She couldn't be caught outside. Teachers weren't allowed to leave school grounds, and they certainly weren't allowed to go to the roof for no reason. While walking back downstairs, she looked out the windows. Students were all rushing to the building. Mariko continued on, listening to the students gossip in the hallways. You settle things with him? Man, fuck that guy. These were kids that were having trouble with some other kids. There were always those kinds of people in your life. The issue is how to deal with them. Mariko would just beat them up if she didn't like them. Not in public, unless she was Marika. Mariko and Marika are not two different people. They're the same person sharing two bodies. The difference is that as a magical girl, some personality traits were affected. As Marika, she was a lot more instinctive, lustful for battle, and a lot more brash. This had some basis in Mariko's personality, but it was easier for her to keep it down as Mariko. In a way, it's like being drunk. You lose your sense of inhibition, but unlike being drunk, Mariko was completely aware of what she was doing, and she won't do anything to stop it. And, see, I like this. It's not necessarily that being a magical girl itself makes her feel like that. It's more like when she is more powerful, her ego kicks in, and she, is able to just free more of the way she is as a person. And the way that she turned out like that as a person is because she's had this amount of power. She's been a magical girl since she was, literally in kindergarten. Sorry, I'm really, really, really liking this chapter, but I also feel like I'm not stopping that much to discuss it, because it's pretty straightforward, but I am loving it, because I really, really like Mariko as a character. Mariko continued walking down the hallways. She liked watching people interact, mostly because she wanted interaction herself, but didn't really know how to best approach people. She heard some girls talking and gossiping. Sometimes she'd be standing behind them, or so much that they'd notice. Then she'd just bow her head down and apologize, before realizing that just attracted more attention to herself. Fuck, I'm an idiot. She continued moving down the hallways. She saw a girl. She didn't know why, but she seemed to be drawn to this girl. Ordinary girl, short hair. It's the face. She'd seen her somewhere before. Then she remembered. The research facility. Underground. She broke her transformation once. See you guys later, said the girl as she walked away from her classmates. Oh no, don't run away. Mariko instantly grabbed the girl's arm. The girl was a bit surprised and looked at Mariko with a dumbfounded stare on her face. Mariko looked back at the girl. The girl looked at Mariko. Wait, what was the plan? Mariko didn't think she'd get this far. Her old mentor, Malpom, always told her, never de-transform in front of other magical girls, lest you want them to know what you really look like. That's dangerous and risky. But this girl did it. This girl was brave enough to do it. Then again, like when it comes to Snow White, those rules kind of go out the window because she can hear your heart anyway. Like at this point, it's one of those things where, honestly, Mariko probably won't even need, or like, I mean, Snow White's not in her magical girl form right here, but it's not like she would need, in every situation, to explain things for Snow White to sort of get what's going on. Also, I thought it was a bit of development throughout the series. I thought that Snow White was able to, like, sort of, not really, like, use her powers, but she had got to the point of, like, bits of her powers would seep in even if she was in human form. For some reason, maybe it was just the anime that did that, but for some reason I thought in Unmarked and maybe even in Restart, we kind of saw that, where she was able to still hear people's voices of their hearts even when she wasn't in magical girl form. Or maybe I'm just thinking of the anime doing that. But for some reason I definitely remember it. Either way. During their time in the underground facility, looking for the man-made magical girls, this girl was willing to de-transform herself. This girl whose name is... she had no idea of her human name. Didn't that fire girl mention it? What was it again? Mariko didn't pay attention to human names. She didn't think she'd meet people in human form. Koyuki, do you know her? Asked one of the girl's friends. Ah, Koyuki, good, nice save. Yes, we do know each other. During the opening ceremony, I had a chat with a lot of the students, so that's where we met. Said Mariko awkwardly. Snow White. The magical girl hunter, Snow White. During her time underground, Mariko and Snow White were fighting for their lives. In order to buy her time and to enjoy the thrill of battle, Mariko took the aggressive route and fended off many shuffling. She didn't expect to survive. Many of the magical girls lost their lives in that facility. And it's interesting, too, that the two of them meeting are two of the few to survive an arc together. How do you walk back from there? Because, like, some of them that survived an arc together, like the girls for Limited, they've kind of stuck together as a group after that arc. But the arc members and Jokers all split off to do separate things that survived. So it's interesting to see two of them meeting back up in this kind of way, since they didn't, like, stick together after the arc, really. During her time underground, Marika and Snow are fighting for their lives. The aggressive route, didn't expect to survive. Many of the magical girls lost their lives in that facility. How do you walk back from there? Even though she did survive, she only expected a few to come back. Now that she reconnected with someone who's experienced it, what should she even say? She saw Snow White, or Koyuki's face, just staring back at her. Her face was so gentle, unlike the magical girl she saw back at the facility. As Koyuki, she seemed like your average girl who had no clue of what she was doing. For a second, Mariko doubted if this was really Snow White, but she knew that this was definitely her. That's when Mariko realized that she's been holding on to Koyuki's arm for about 15 seconds. She released it. Sorry about that. She struggled with her words, unsure of what to say, but Koyuki was faster and bowed her head down. Apologies, it's nice seeing you again, said Koyuki before she turned around and left. Wait, Koyuki, do you know her? Her two friends spoke out as they chased after her. Mariko was alone in the hallway, the other students looking at her. Some were suspicious, some were snickering, some were just curious. Mariko felt pressured. She grabbed hold of her white coat and moved along. So this is one of those things where even if she didn't recognize her here, Snow White can be like, okay, this person did something sketchy, let me pop into magical girl form when no one's looking really quick and sort of read her in her heart to see what was going on there. But either way, we're flipping over now to Koyuki Himekawa, and we're at the end of page 10, beginning of page 11, around there. Koyuki Himekawa. After school, Koyuki went to a food store where she'd eat hamburgers and other fast food with her friends, Sari and Yoshiki. Oh, I think those are the same ones from the anime/Unmarked. Okay. These two were friends that she met when she entered high school and weren't acquainted with her before in middle school. Okay, maybe I'm wrong then. The name sounded familiar, but maybe I'm wrong. So, Koyuki, again, the only place we would have seen him anyway in the anime/Unmarked would have been at the very beginning. I don't know. I really wish we got more of their human lives I feel like when we get more of their human lives, it just amplifies how different or how special the magical girl stuff is. Like, the series is great as it is, but as I'm thinking about it, I just think that it could be even better if we add more of that juxtaposition there. And especially if that sort of stuff plays into the motivations and storylines that are going on in the Magical Girl side of things, like again in Restart, where it was really, really good and handled really well. So Koyuki, tell us about that teacher. She's the new science teacher, right? Yeah, Miss Tadakuro's away. What's her name? Yeah, Koyuki, what's her name? Koyuki calmly ate a hamburger. Honestly, I have no idea, she said. What? Then why'd she call out for you? Yeah, she grabbed your hand and everything. You two must have known each other, right? You must have met them once. Maybe you forgot her face, like Yo-chan does. What? I do not forget people's face. You're the only one who does that. Nah, I remember everyone crystal clear. Who was your second to last boyfriend? I don't remember my exes. Who does that? Ha, see, you're more forgetful than I am. Nope, I remember when I first met him. I was at the beach with sunglasses and a sexy bikini. Okay, stop. I don't want to know about your sexual fantasies. You know who I want to know more about? Koyuki. Oh yeah, Koyuki, come on, tell us about yourself. Tell us your secrets and we'll tell you ours. What's Koyuki like in the dark? Got any juicy stuff? Koyuki chuckled as she looked at both of them. Slightly blushing a bit, she answered, Honestly, it's not really that big of a deal. Not much to talk about, really, she said with a blush. People who say that have the biggest secrets. Yeah, come on, Koyuki, tell us. Yo, what you both talking about? A voice came from somewhere behind them. Is it going to... Oh, okay, never mind. Taking a seat in an empty chair was a familiar face to Koyuki. Her name was Sumire. She's been classmates with Koyuki ever since middle school. Hey, Sumi-chan, we're trying to figure out Koyuki's deepest secrets. Yeah, we barely know any fun stuff about her, said the both of them. And this is another good reason why Princess Inferno surviving would have been really cool for the story. Her death was really, really good and cool for the story, but her surviving to continue sort of a friendship with Snow White and like connecting now that the two of them would know that they were each magical girls would have like been so good for the series. But either way, yeah, we barely know any fun stuff about her, said the both of them. Sumire smiled slyly at Koyuki. Koyuki raised her eyebrow. I can tell you a lot about Koyuki. She's all shy and quiet now, but it's no joke that she always just prefers to stay quiet. She's actually a huge magical girl fan, said Sumire. Koyuki laughed. Well, yep, you got me there. Magical girls are kind of my thing, said Koyuki. You played that social game forever. If it didn't shut down, I thought you'd probably just keep on playing, said Sumire. Good thing it stopped then, said Koyuki, shrugging. Oh, that's so sad, because Koyuki knows the truth, of course. Hey, Sumi-chan, does Koyuki know the new science teacher? Yeah, they talked a bit, but Koyuki didn't want to say, said the two friends. Sumire glanced at Koyuki. Can't say she's met her before. She's new after all, but it makes sense why she'd know Koyuki. Koyuki has that impactful look on someone. Really? Who is she anyways? Yeah, Sumi-chan, you know her? Of course I know her. I actually go to the opening ceremony. They announced her name there. Were you three late? Asked Sumire. The three girls laughed nervously. Of course, when they say her real name, because it's so stupidly similar to her magical girl name, Koyuki's gonna realize who it is immediately. That's hilarious. I love that this is the way it's going, too. The three girls laughed nervously. Sumire sighed. Yes, well, she's the new science teacher. She's going to replace Miss Tadakuro for a while now. Maternity leave. Her name's Mariko Fukuroi, or Miss Fukuroi for short. Koyuki spit out her soda. The sound of choking and coughing was heard as she felt the liquid burning in her nose. I love this. Koyuki just like shot soda out of her nose from this. Koyuki coughed as she dropped her food and spilled her drink all over. I would love to see that animated. Just such an extreme reaction. Just shooting soda out of her nose like food and drink flying everywhere. It's so good. Whoa, Koyuki, you okay? Yeah, you look like you choked big time. Koyuki took a minute to regain her composure. I'm fine. Who? Mariko Fukuroi. Koyuki knew a magical girl with the name Marika Fukuroi. It's only just one letter difference, but could it be the same girl? The same battle-hungry magical girl? As a teacher? That explains why she grabbed her hand, but really, could it be her? Koyuki was unsure, but at the same time... And now we're going back over to Mariko's point of view. Mariko Fukuroi. Mariko wanted to thank Snow White. Mariko wanted to talk to Snow White. Mariko wanted to know how Snow White handled herself. She wanted to know the rest of the story. She wanted to talk to someone. Why did she waste her chance back at the school? She didn't know her personally. Was she teaching a class with her in it? Was it really her to begin with? She had to find her. She asked the examination division for Snow White, but she was met with a reply. Sorry, we don't disclose our personnel's private information to outsiders. Shit. Mariko's bad reputation as Marika must have played a part in that. She wanted to find Snow White, though. She asked, she visited, and she even went straight as Marika to the examination division branches in Japan. When she didn't get an answer, she went berserk. She crashed a table, broke windows, and it took other magical girls to restrain her and send her back home. I love how just insane Marika is. Transforming back into Mariko, she took a long, hard look at her experiences. Without Mimi, there really was no one else she could talk with. And I love, too, that this makes sense plot-wise, that Marika's kind of losing it without Mimi there to be the one that sort of is her tether, and Snow White is kind of like a potential replacement for that role in her life. Without Mimi, there was really no one else she could just talk with. How does Snow White do it? How does she balance magical girl life with her school life? From when they last met, it was clear that Snow White was very stressed out in her magical girl life. She showed little to no emotion, yet. As Koyuki, she was laughing with her friends, talking with them, hanging out with them. One of them's the real personality, the other was an attempt to function normally in society. Why can't Mariko do that? She also had a rough time in society. She was pretty awkward herself, but at the very least she could try and hang around people. Be more like Snow White. Mariko's a science teacher, so she can be a good role model to her students, right? The next day, Mariko decided she's going to be a good teacher, teach the kids, try and become less hot-headed in the process. She already made the introductory quizzes all night. She ate some pizza for breakfast, washed her hands, and while she got ready, was trying really hard to pack all the tests into her bag. Her hand slipped and was still moist. The test fell into the pizza box. Some of them got dirty with food. Mariko cursed, but kept the tests that were safe. She continued packing them when she heard beeping noises from her phone. It wasn't her normal phone. That was her magical phone. She turned it on. The first thing she noticed was that her last text, besides the text she got to investigate S City, was sent towards Mimi. Almost all of her texts were with Mimi. There have been no other texts since. Mariko's heart sank just a little bit before she checked on the new messages section of her inbox. The sender was unknown. The topic, Snow White. Mariko immediately opened the mail. Meet me in school rooftop after school. Mariko's heart soared. Snow White, is that really you? Mariko immediately packed her bags and resolved to meet her once again. So many things she wants to talk about. And now we're going to Fall's point of view, and I like when Snow White's story is told from Fall's point of view as well. Though I think this would have been a good opportunity to just stick with Snow White, but either way, we're going, I don't like it, Pone. You don't like what? This! I don't like this! I've got a really bad feeling, Pone. Really bad. Why so nervous, Fall? We've met her before. Yeah, when we teamed up. Who knows what she's like now? We don't even know her for more than a day, Pone. Relax, Fall. Did you know she attacked an examination division branch? Yeah, broken windows and everything, I heard. Exactly, she's out looking for you, Snow White. Her violent behavior worries me, Pone. It should worry you too. And why's that? She knows who you are, Pone. She knows where you live, your family, friends. Why'd you become a teacher? A transfer teacher, suddenly, Pone. You know what I think. What? I think this is just like one of those villains who discover the hero's identity, Pone. Okay, you're overreacting. I'm not, Pone. I've run simulations. I love Fall here. Fall is so good. One of the best characters. Oh, you've run simulations, have you? Yes, did you forget? I was once Keek's mascot. She gave me a fraction of her powers. I may have my own pocket dimension cyberworld. I have my own pocket dimension cyberworld. I downloaded your most current data and Mariko Fukuroi's most current data, generated them in the cyberworld in these conditions, and in the event of a fight, you lose every time, Pone. We're not gonna fight, Fall. You're not in your element, Pone. If this turns into a fight, you're gonna lose. This is Marika we're talking about, Pone. I've beaten mouse school people before. You've beaten Flame Flamey. You've beaten Flame Flamey. She may be in Mouse School, but she's not exactly a good representation of one. She's not on the level of Marika at all, Pone. I love just... Even Fall knows that Lame Lamey is Lame Lamey. Doesn't matter, 'cause we won't fight. I don't like this, Pone. I'm worried. You should hold Ruler straight, if you don't want to be caught off guard. Fall. Also, I've prepared to transport your family and friends into cyberspace if things get hefty. They'll be safe. Fall. And I'll also definitely be lending my support, however I can, Pone. Fall. What? She's here. What? Where? Above? Did she sneak past us? Oh, that's sneaky. I can't detect her at all, Pone. That's because she's not in her magical girl form, said Snow White with a smile. A large creak on the door behind them began to open. A woman with a white coat and sunglasses came in, carrying a box. Her posture was that of someone a bit timid. Hello, said the woman. This was the same teacher that grabbed Snow White yesterday. This was Mariko Fukuroi, Marika's human form. She offered the box to Snow White. It's cake, said Mariko. I love this awkward, shy Marika. Cake. Oh, this box, Pone. I see. Cake? Why cake? Asked Fall. I thought you might like cake, said Marika nervously. Snow White opened the box, saw the cake, and smiled at Mariko. Thanks. Come on, let's get a seat, said Snow White. She sat down, placed Ruler away, and began eating bits of the cake. Want to eat cake together? Asked Mariko. Snow White nodded. Mariko and Snow White sat down. To anyone else this looked like a teacher and a student spending time on the rooftop, not like two magical girls who survived a huge ordeal. Both of them stared into the sunset while eating. Thanks, Mariko. For what? Asked Snow White. For everything. I don't really know. I'm just not good at this talking thing, so thanks. Snow White smiled. You want to just hang out as magical girls, maybe? Offered Snow White. Mariko's eyes brightened up. Snow White chuckled. Mariko immediately ran off from the rooftop, shutting the door behind her. Only a few minutes later, slam, the rooftop door burst open, kicked with the force of a magical girl. I love she just kicks it completely open. Standing at the door was a purple-dressed magical girl with flowers all over her. Mariko Fukuroi. All right, magical girl hunter, we've got the whole night to ourselves. Let's get going already. Bwahaha. Mariko put both of her hands on her hips and grinned as Snow White smiled and nodded. What's that on your head? Asked Snow White. A flower, duh. What kind of flower? It's pretty, asked Snow White. Gah, well, if you have to know, it's a bird-eye primrose. Pretty cool, huh? Not sure what it does yet, but I've been growing it in my spare time. You grow plants? Plant magical girl, hello? Anyway, come on, we're wasting daylight. Want me to drag you myself? No thanks, I'm good. Come on, I'll show you around, said Snow White. The two of them then jumped across rooftops. The bird's-eye primrose on Mariko Fukuroi's head began to glow brightly. Man, I love this. Okay, I feel like I didn't do a lot of discussion with this one, but this might be my favorite one so far. I don't know, the first one was really great. All of them have been great. It's between this and the first one. The first one, the goggles and the tortoise, still might be my favorite, but this one's totally up there. This was so good. I feel like that happens a lot, where the things I discussed least are the most good, just because I'm both so entranced with them, and so, when there's something that you're like, oh, this could have been done better, or this wasn't the best, there's at least something to talk about there. But when something was just, absolutely pretty much perfect, it's like, what do I even say about it? Everything was amazing. So yeah, I loved it. This was good. I really loved seeing more of Marika/Mariko, and that's what these episodes are really, really good for, giving us that extra bit of development with these characters. I love seeing more of Snow White, especially in this setting, and especially getting that long sequence of her as Koyuki. That was really good, because I want to see more of her as Koyuki. I just want to see more of her because she's such a great main character, and also more of the other characters like this. And like I was saying a bit throughout the chapter, I think more of a balance like what this chapter had between showing their real life selves and their magical girl selves, I think that helps the story a lot. The story's already great, but I feel like that just kicks it up an extra level when we get that balance of showing the real world thems, or the real world them that kind of drives the plot forward as magical girls a bit and adds this extra context that's really cool. So yeah, gonna go ahead and end this one. Like I said, in a few days, maybe Tuesday to Thursday, somewhere around then, I want to do another video. So you shouldn't have to wait too long for the next one. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Like if you did like the video, and comment down there to tell me what you thought of this week's chapter here, what you thought of my thoughts and first reactions and all that. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe for much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there, talk to you there. If you'd like a link to our Discord server to talk to me or more of us about Magical Girl Raising Project or anything else, all you gotta do is ask and I'll give you a link. If you would like to help keep the channel going by supporting on Patreon, huge thank you to people who are patrons already, but it's patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description. And either way, whether you're a patron or not, just thank you so much for being a part of the community and watching, because this is seriously one of the most enjoyable series for me. I love everything from the fan base that I get to talk with being so amazing, to the series itself, to being able to record and make these. I just wish we got more anime, you know, or at least the hope of more anime. Because right now it's like, I really, like, there are some people that didn't like the adaptation of Unmarked, but I loved the anime. I loved the adaptation of Unmarked. I think there are things that the anime version of Unmarked did better than the light novels, and things that the light novels did better than the anime. Like, personally, I think that Ripple's character was a lot more enjoyable and a lot more deep in the light novels. Some of the fights were maybe a little bit more detailed and more serious in the light novels, but then in the anime, I think that Snow White's character was done a lot better than it was done in the light novels. Plus, I kind of feel like the stuff that they included from episodes was a really, really good addition to everything that was going on in the anime. And a big thing for me, if I reread the end of Unmarked and I rewatch the last episode of the anime, I think the anime handled the ending better. I think it was a lot more dramatic, a lot more impactful and emotional. I just think that the way they were able to direct it and edit things together made it, in some of the scenes they changed or added in, I think really improved upon what was already there. So that's, to me, why I like the anime, because I feel like the anime took what was already there that was already great, and some of the things they improved upon, but the big thing for me is the ending. I think the ending in the anime is really, really good. But yeah, even though I really liked it, I feel like the odds for a Restart anime, it's like, I don't know. I don't know what the odds are. And Restart is so good and so deserves it, but I don't know what the odds are. And I think a lot of the reason, I think most fans of Magical Girl Raising Project I've seen have enjoyed the anime. Some are pretty critical of it, but mostly people have good things to say about it generally. The people I see complaining about it, though, are mostly people that don't know much about the series, that are just like, oh, it's just another generic, either A, Madoka ripoff, when they're two totally different stories, about two totally different things. Even, like, the only thing they have in common is being a somewhat dark story, with magical girls involved. That's the only similarities they have, but outside of that, they tell completely different stories. So there's not really a good way to compare the two of them, but it's mostly people saying that, or saying that it's just a generic, another one of those sort of survival game type stories, which again is kind of what Unmarked is, but it's not what Magical Girl Raising Project as a whole is. Unmarked is a survival game story, but it's just the first arc, the first part of a much larger, almost long-running shonen-ish series, in a way. So, yeah, either way, I don't know how I got off topic there, but yeah, thanks for being part of the community that I love so much, and I'll see you all next time.